past several years, food allergies have risen in awareness.
They have really come to life in the last, well, really in the last decade. A lot of the allergies have been much more vocal from a consumer perspective than they have in the past.
My name is Retterath, and I am a student at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls. I've had allergies my whole life. I started young with mostly dairy and chicken.
Alright, just a little Coke here. Doing alright?
My name is Michael Goodman. I've been in the food industry since probably 1982, 1983, so a little over 35 years or so. Started off as a part-time job during high school, cooked my way through college, and then just kind of ended up in the food, culinary realm from thereafter.
Cheryl Harrison. I'm the general manager for Sodexo Dining Services. We're the company that the university is contracted with to run the dining service operations. I've been in food service operations for a long time. I've been here at UW River Falls for about 18 months, and this is my first time in the campus division. Previously, I've worked in healthcare and also in corporate services, which is running corporate cafeterias.
Dairy was kind of just a break on the skin, but then chicken and turkey were deadly allergies. So growing up, it's kind of evolved. Different allergies have shown up, different ones have gone away. But overall, I have a couple that are deadly and some that are just kind of mild, but I have a lot of food allergies, a lot of seasonal airborne allergies and stuff like that. And I mean, I have food allergies in every food group, kind of making it hard to eat anything significant or healthy.
Well, having worked in healthcare, and I am a registered dietitian also, I've not really worked as a clinical dietitian. It's been more in an administrative role, but I've supervised clinical dietitians and had a lot of exposure to that in the healthcare sector. I've been very surprised at the number of students with special dietary needs, particularly with the allergies or insensitivities. I mean, in terms of the kinds of allergies we see, 90% of them are related to, 8 different things.
Think of dairy, wheat, soy, nuts.
One big issue I've had is cross-contamination with people dropping eggs into different foods and then just trying to pull the eggs out. Like, if I was further down the line and didn't see them pull the eggs out, I wouldn't know that they were in there in the first place and would have reacted.
I think we train for the most significant, or I should say most common issues, which is the cross-contamination on the wheat thing. But there are all different kinds of cross-contamination. So the whole idea of spilling foods and how that relates is, and it's even more complicated in an environment, I think, like Riverside Commons, because we have so many areas that are self-service. And that also complicates the whole signage issue, because sometimes it's the students that move the things around and then the sign doesn't get moved with them. Sometimes, it's my staff that needs to be tuned into the fact when they replace this particular item with something else, they need to change the signage, or If they change the order of the things, it's really important because they're looking at the back side of that sign.
Things that work to try to control the oops, the accidents that occur when you're trying to regulate, what products make contact with what items in the kitchen. You can have different colored cutting boards, different size cutting boards, where a particular color or size is dedicated to a specific function, like cutting gluten-free pizza crust, for example. Same could be said about the knife or the pizza cutter that's used for that. You can do simple things like paint the handle. You can put a piece of tape around the handle, things like that, so it's very obvious that that item is strictly for the use of that gluten-free item. Other ways to help control that cross-contamination and prevent the accidents is if a customer is requesting or needing something that needs to be allergen-free, whether it's gluten, egg, or otherwise, it's really best practice to grab the prepared food item from a new container versus one that's already been exposed and been dipped into a couple times, because you don't know what serving vessel was used when they were getting product out of that container previously, and it's possible that let's say they're using a ladle and they had it sitting on a counter where there was some flour or who knows what. You don't know. When you don't know, you assume it's contaminated.
This is a really scary time. As a parent, I understand that when students come away from home for the first time, especially when they have allergies or other special needs, because the family unit has taken care of those issues for them at home, and then they step away and they're on their own, and it's scary not only for the student but for the parents.
If I could change anything about how the dining works here, mostly in the Riverside Commons, I'd probably change just how they have the servers do things. The self-serve parts are usually kind of messy, and I usually just kind of avoid them, so it'd be almost easier just to have a section that's for people with allergies where everything's kind of spaced apart more. You can't really have the spillover because they have things right next to each other, and if there's a little gap in between or even a wall in between each dish, they couldn't really spill everything over and have cross-contamination. So then the person with allergies can just get that food themselves and don't have to worry about a server messing anything up, and they can just be responsible for themselves. They can choose their own food. They don't have to worry about all the other students in there getting their food and doing things that could really harm them in the end.
For a restaurateur, it's kind of nerve-wracking to make the declaration that things are gluten-free. It's very hard to do because, like I said, you cannot guarantee what's going to happen when you're not the one physically doing it. So the approach that I like to take is, we've taken every precaution to ensure that the products that were used in the preparation of your meal do not contain wheat or wheat items, in specific to the gluten or the wheat allergy. However, these items are prepared in an environment that typically handles wheat, soy, dairy, nuts, and you kind of list them all. And that way the consumer can decide, depending on their susceptibility or the severity of their reaction to the various allergens or items, they're in the driver's seat. They're the one making that decision.
Good. Nasal spaces open and clear, throat normal.
Okay.
In October of 2011, I went to the Allergy Associates of Lacrosse in Onalaska, Wisconsin, and they have a new type of treatment that's allergy drops. It's not painful like allergy shots, and it's really effective. It's just 3 drops under the tongue every day. There's food and there's seasonal stuff, and over time it builds up your immunity. I've been on it for about 1.5 years at this point, and most of my allergies have gone down significantly. I can eat some dairy without having problems. I can eat a little bit of wheat and tomatoes and peanuts.
Okay, so I'm going to escalate the dose and make the drops stronger. Remember, that's the philosophy of the treatment. You start weak and slowly build up the dosage and make the drops stronger and stronger, because that's what's going to induce long-term and permanent immunity in your system. That's the plan, okay? So you have the trees, the grasses, the ragweeds, the dust mites, the moles, the cat, everything in your drops, right? It's a cocktail.
Making this documentary to help kind of raise awareness of food allergies in public eating places such as Riverside Commons and other restaurants, and the difficulties that people really face when it comes to things other than the most popular, like celiacs or just the wheat allergy and dairy and lactose stuff. There's a lot of other food allergies that people suffer from, and it really makes it hard to get the right nutrition and eat out and actually have fun in certain instances.
There wasn't as much attention paid to them as there is today, primarily the gluten allergy.